This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ridge Commuter backpack, which I've been testing for the past 2 weeks. Let's dive in. So starting with the material here, we have a full nylon shell, and online it says that it is a 600D nylon shell, but the tag on the inside says that it's a 900D nylon shell. So we're not exactly sure which one it is, but either way you have a high Diener shell that is marketed as waterproof. We're not so sure if it's exactly waterproof, but it does keep most water out, which is nice. The entire pack here is black, and black is the only color that it does come in, which is a little disappointing if you like a pop of color, but the black does look quite nice. All of the zippers on this thing are YKK zippers, which we are a big fan of because they are a great brand. The main zipper here is a YKK number 8 AquaGuard zipper. If you could look closely there, you can see that it will keep water out for the most part. All of the main zippers are that AquaGuard zipper. So the laptop compartment here, the main compartment on the front, and the secondary access to the main compartment here is also an AquaGuard zipper. So all those main compartment zippers are YKK number 8, and then the rest of the bag, for the most part, other than one zipper, is a YKK number 5. On the front here, we have these 2 flat pockets that offer quite a bit of space, but we thought were a little bit awkward to use. If you have something you need to commute to for work or something like that, you can slide it in there. But you don't have much room because this fabric is pretty rigid. But it's nice to have those 2 options there if you wanted to put a device in there or a book or something like that. On the side here, we have the collapsible, or zip up if you want to, water bottle pocket. It doesn't have much pull here, so you can't fit a huge bottle, but this 16-ounce bottle fits pretty snugly, and it's not going to come out of there unless you were to turn it upside down and shake it, which is nice. And then when you don't want to use it, you just pull the bottle out, and you stuff that in there and zip it up. I've also put plastic bags in there, so if you have a dog and you use recycled bags or something like that, you could put those in there, which is nice to have storage for that, and you can even zip it up when they're in there, which we quite liked. On this side is a little phone pocket, and the reason this is a phone pocket is because it has a USB charging cable there that loops to the inside of the pack, which we will talk about later. But as you can see here, you just plug in a cord there, and then you can charge your phone while you're on the go and still have quick access to your phone. You're best to do this with a short cable, because obviously you don't want all of this flying around like that. But you could also stuff it in here if you wanted to, but there isn't much room. And also, when this closes, it's just a little magnet close, and it tends to just kind of pop off. Like I'm barely touching that with my finger, and it is popping off very easily. So if you were to shove the cord in there, I think that might pop more than you'd like it to. And if it's popped open, it's obviously going to get wet. Moving to the back here, the back panel is actually pretty rigid. It's not very soft, and it doesn't have that much give, which is surprising because it is very comfortable. In commuting with this backpack over the past 2 weeks, I think I've ridden about 100 miles with it on my back, and I found the back to be very comfortable. And you can see the nice R logo here for the Ridge, but it's hard to show that it doesn't compress much, but it's surprisingly hard. But as I said, surprisingly comfortable as well, but flat, which is good for if you're riding a bike. The shoulder straps here have a padded mesh material on them, which is nice and breathable. They're pretty wide, but because they have that padded mesh and they're soft, they compress, so they move with you. So if you are a little smaller, they could feel a little big, but when you move, as I said, they kind of move with you, which is nice. They come together with this sternum strap here. There's no brand on the buckle, so I'm not sure what brand it is, but overall, we had no issues with it coming apart or anything like that. It's pretty strong, and the little loop here is nice as well. It stays where it's supposed to, and it's not a huge sternum strap. It doesn't have much width, just about an inch thick there. But it does offer quite a bit of security, and we did like how it felt while we were riding a bike and on a walk when the pack was heavy. Going back to the back panel here, it has a luggage loop right here, so you can attach this to your luggage while you're traveling, which we like, and it also blends in, which is nice, so when you're not using it, it's not overly in your face or anything like that. Below that, we have an RFID secret pocket to protect all of your information, which is nice for while you're traveling or anything like that, and also just to keep things safe while you're traveling, not necessarily for the RFID protection. If you just wanted to put your passport or something in there, it's close to your body, it would be really hard for someone to get in there and get after it, which is nice. It is important to note, I think, though, that it is a small pocket, and if you were to put something a little more rigid in there, it would poke up, and then you would feel that on your lower back, which would not be very comfortable. So that is the outside of the pack, and we're going to be moving inside now. So as you can see, this pack is pretty dirty right now. As I said, I have ridden my bike with it about 100 miles over the past 2 weeks getting to and from work. And as you can see, it is pretty speckled up with mud there. The bottom was very, very dirty, and I cleaned it up a little bit. But I just wanted to show you how easily this pack can clean up. So I got a little water sprayer right here to get a little water on there. And you can kind of see those water droplets forming, showing the water resistance of the pack. And then just a light wipe, and almost all that mud comes off. I did notice that when you clean it like this, it looks clean right now because the water is still on there. But if you let it dry, there might be some mud still stuck in the grain of the fabric, which obviously isn't ideal, but if you scrub it a little more, or if you have a brush and can really get in there, it all comes off pretty easily. But we'll spray this bottom part here so you can see that. But very happy with how well it cleaned up and just held up with mud and snow and rain to continue to be a nice looking pack. So moving on to the inside, when you use this main zipper, there's nothing really to grab onto. So opening it can be kind of hard, especially because it has that AquaGuard zipper. So it doesn't move as smoothly as we would like. So there's nothing really to grab onto, so you're really just grabbing the corner here and pulling it. And when the pack's not full, it kind of gets a little like foldy up here. So I say that the zipper is going off-roading. It's not easy to get it through there, especially because there's nothing to grab onto. So that's a little slow. It's not the end of the world, but it's a little bit annoying. And it's a clamshell open here. So when you open it up, you have a ton of space here and a lot of room to personalize how you put your items in here. I always bring a couple layers to work, so I always stack my clothes in like that. Because in Detroit, obviously, it's pretty cold this time of year. And then we have these two mesh pockets on this side. We have a big elastic pocket here, and then two slide pockets, a zipper pocket, and a little carrier for a portable charger, which connects to the outside charging unit. So starting with these mesh pockets here, the mesh is not stretchy, so it's rigid, it's not going to stretch, but we were able to fit quite a bit in there. So right now I have my gloves that I work with in there, and I also bike ride with these gloves, and a small point and shoot camera fit in there nicely. And then in this pocket I just have my headphones and 2 pens. But as you can see, when I opened that pocket, because of how rigid this pack is, it has like a bit of an angle, so stuff will fall out. So if you forgot to zip this pocket and you opened up the pack, the stuff's gonna come tumbling out like that, which is not ideal, but you can cope with that by zipping up the pocket. Moving on to the elastic pocket here, there's quite a bit of room in there. Again, this mesh is not stretchy, so you basically get what you get with it. You're not going to be able to stuff a bunch of extra stuff in there. Right now I've got an Instax mini camera in there, a pair of Bluetooth headphones, and a mask. I really like this pocket because of the elastic, and you could throw bigger items in there without them moving around too much. Like this is a bigger item that I don't want swimming around to get broken. But if you do throw a smaller item, like say this camera in there, it can move around and you don't really know where it's going to end up, and that's not really ideal. So definitely better for bigger items. And in these two slide pockets, these are both good for a phone, a wallet, or something like that. Right now I've got 2 wallets in there just to see how they fit and slide them in and out. And I did like those pockets for a phone or something like that too. They aren't super deep, but they're deep enough for a phone or something about that size. This zipper pocket is good for a small device like a Kindle, or if you have like one of those mini iPads, it would be good to go on there. It's also good for documents because right behind it is the laptop compartment. So you've got a little bit of a flat surface there and your documents aren't gonna get too roughed up. And then on the side over here, as I said, we have a power bank. Right now we just have the old school Anchor power bank in here, which connects with this included, if you're in the USA, cord that goes to the outside, and that is the plug that you use on the outside to charge your phone. I'm not a huge fan of how long this cord is, because even if you fold it up and shove it in there with the battery bank, it is prone to getting caught on things. So if you put something in your bag, you can it'll yank that out or it'll pull this out, and it's just not very fun to use, I should say, and it's not very efficient. I always felt like it was getting in the way. So most of the time when I'm not using it, I just take it off and shove it in there like this. And if I needed to use it, I hook it up and use it. One thing to know is that obviously this is a weatherproof bag, and if you buy it because you want to be able to use it in the rain, in the elements. But if you take this out, there is a little shield here, but that's not exactly water or weatherproof. So water could very easily come in this and come through here. I don't think that would happen ever. It never happened to us while we were using it, but in a monsoon or something, water could very easily get in there, and if you had electronics in here, they could get wet, which would not be ideal. So closing this back up. If you saw, we went off-roading again, and kind of hard to close. We have another access zipper to get to that main compartment. So from the top, you're able to grab something like a laptop charger or anything that you sit on the top. When I get to work normally, I open that pocket, I grab my laptop charger, and if I need to put on a long sleeve, I grab the long sleeve that I normally have sitting right here. It's not very easy to get to any of the lower items, like if you had something in this elastic, you probably wouldn't be able to reach it, or if you had something in the lower pocket down here, you probably wouldn't be able to reach it, but it's nice for quick access to whatever you put on top of the pack. And just behind that, we have the laptop sleeve, which is an anti-shock laptop sleeve. It's very, very nice feeling, and I felt like my laptop was very protected while it was there, because you also have this hard back panel that we talked about earlier. And I think that that's a key thing for this backpack, is this hard back panel protects the laptop better than if it was just like a soft mesh like these are. So I felt like my laptop was very protected. I have a 15-inch MacBook Pro, and it fit it with room to spare. I don't have a case on it, but I think that this laptop compartment is going to fit just about anything you throw at it. Another thing that I thought is worth mentioning now that it's empty, when it's empty, it kind of gets, like I said earlier, kind of off-roady and like frumpled. Like you can see here, it's like folding over itself, and it's just isn't a great look when the bag is empty. Obviously, as a commuter pack, you probably won't be using it empty all that often, but it's important to note that it looks a little frumpy when it doesn't have anything in it. And one last thing to mention that I forgot before is that these zippers under here are not AquaGuard zippers. So there is this little tab here to protect it from the elements, but again, if you were, in a monsoon or something, water could get in there and then get into these pockets because there is no tab there. But there you have it, the Ridge Commuter Backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.